doors in our life. We hadn't closed these doors to the enemy yet. I do believe in God's grace and His mercy, but I also believe that there comes a place that you can walk out of His grace. You can walk outside of what God has for you. And so it doesn't mean that God's grace is not flowing, that He's not pouring it out, and He not desires to give you. But if you choose not to walk in it, if you choose to do whatever that you want to do and keep these doors open in your life for whatever reasons, you will get knocked in the head by the devil. I mean, he's looking for you. Peter said that he is like a roaring lion going to and fro, seeking who he may devour. And that word devour, I think that, I listen to probably everybody in here, or most everybody in here has probably heard of Rick Renner, because I have turned him on to them. And he is a Greek scholar. He was born and raised in Tulsa. Now he lives in Russia, him and his family, and they do a worldwide ministry out of Tulsa. And about any Greek book or any kind of Greek writing that's around here, just about any minister of any denomination, they refer back to him. He is the Greek scholar of the time. And he takes the word devour and he uses it in a way to mean slurp. That the enemy, the devil, is going around seeing who he may slurp up after the prey, after the kill. There is just some mush that is there, and the enemy's looking to slurp it up. And so, there was things in our lives that the enemy, that we hadn't cleaned up yet, and him looking for them open doors, he slurped us up. And in doing so, our marriage fell apart. I mean, within a year of us going to church, in church, serving in church, she was serving in children's church ministry. I was preaching almost every Sunday or teaching one. And then I was also being used at another church way out in the country, helping to establish it and pastoring it, kind of. So God, it just seemed like that things were moving in the right direction. But because of this, the enemy found places to slurp us up. He found places to destroy our lives. And I could remember the morning as it was today when it all fell apart. Because it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, because both of us got up early in the morning, and we were fussing that morning, and I threw out the D word. And it changed our marriage right then. And I said, well, maybe we ought to get a divorce. And then it was just one of them things that just said out of anger, but that word was out there. Words have power. And over a course of about 3 to 4 weeks, that word started to grow in our hearts until about 8 or 9 months later, we were in divorce court here in Podo. We had a divorce decree, and we were sent out of there with that 6 months waiting period. And it was done. And so, but by God's grace, by His mercy, there before the 6 months was over, we reconciled and we went to the courthouse and we nullified it. We asked for the papers back. They give us the papers at the courthouse, and we tore them up and burned them, and we didn't have to get remarried. But out of that, God gave me 4 lessons on marriage. And so I brought up the question last week is, when do you buy a snake bite kit? Before you get snake bit. After you get snake bit, you don't go around looking for a snake bite kit. No, it's already too late. If you don't have it on you and you're able to apply it as soon as you're bit, there's no need. You might as well just go to the hospital and hope that you make it, because that's about it. And so that is exactly what these teachings is. I used to take these teachings and I would use them to people when their lives and their marriages was in shambles. They would come and I started teaching these. And then all of a sudden, I realized the order of it, and I started doing it for pre-marriage counseling. And then before you know it, God was sending people all over the place. I had people come from Oklahoma City that sat through these classes. I had people that has come from Arkansas, from other churches. I've had them come and not even be a part of this church, and I give them these classes. I've had the honor and privilege of taking both of my daughters and son-in-laws through these classes. And so it is a snake bite kit to help protect you from the enemy. So often we don't want to do anything until our lives is struggling. That's too late. Then it's a scramble. I know. We were them victims. We started looking for snake bite kits long after we was snake bit. And the venom was already in us. We went to marriage counseling. We went to marriage counseling up at Calvary Assembly up there. They held classes. This is back in the early 90s or so, mid-90s. We went up there. We were trying to desperately get help. And I think in a way there was so much animosity and anger between us, but yet we knew that we needed to do something, but yet there was so much venom already pumping into our system. And so I wrote 2 of the lessons, which we will get to next week and the week after, and they will be fun. And you don't have to have your spouse here to participate, but they get interactive. When I teach them one-on-one, they're not interactive. We're sitting in a class, I'm teaching and stuff, but anytime that I had done these, and I have in the past done these at a group, they become interactive where you have to get out of your seat and you come up and you participate in games. But through that you see the point. And so I hope that you enjoy these and you get out of them. So even if you've sat through one of my classes, continue, because it will be different by doing it in a group. And so my company that I work for, they are big on training and goal setting and stuff like that. And this was probably about 2012. Somewhere in that neighborhood, they told me, said, you're going to go to Chicago for training. So I hated to get on planes. I've always hated navigating I don't mind riding on the plane. I just don't like getting on it and getting off of it. Sitting there doesn't bother me. I enjoy it. It's quiet, put in earphones, close everybody out, take a nap, but it's the hustle and bustle of getting into the airport and then getting through security and all of that. And so I'm not going to lie, I already had some, I wasn't happy about going. And so, but anyway, I went, and because I had to. And so I get up there and they tell me, we're sitting in this classroom, and they said, okay, nobody is going to ever do goal setting like that you've done before. We're getting rid of that system. You're not going to do them anymore, because I hated doing employee evaluations. Anybody ever have to do an employee evaluation or have one done for you, or you get one done to you? I mean, I just hated that whole process. And so they said, we're doing it, and then they take the paper and the form and they wad it up and they throw it and everybody cheers. I mean, because I wasn't the only one there that just hated this system. Everybody's like, yay! Because no manager liked doing that stuff. And so we're sitting there and they go, okay, we're going to do something totally different. I'm thinking, oh, great. I mean, something else to learn. And so they said, studies show that a lot of people, that when they come in and they at New Year's, they try to set new goals for them. Anybody set a New Year's resolution? And they try to make a laundry list of them. You're going to change your life come January 1. And I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to be more productive. All of these things, you put it out there and you make this big laundry list. And before February gets around, you don't even know what the first 2 was. Before March gets here, you don't even know what all of them were. I mean, you're that far off track. And so they said, 3 to 5 is activities in your life is all that you can keep up with, 3 to 5. And if you get any more than that, then you just get too far out there. And so it just gets impossible to track anymore. You lose focus of it. You will make a goal in your life, and then you get lost in how to keep it, how to manage it. And so therefore you get discouraged and you just walk away from it. So they went through this whole process to it. And they called them, said that what they found is you need KPIs, key performance indicators. Once you set the goal, you find the KPIs, and then after you find the KPIs, the key performance indicators of it, you throw the goal away. You don't even worry about the goal anymore. You get rid of it, and you just do these things, these practical tasks, and before you know it, you will have achieved the goal. And so they went through that whole process. And I went through the 3 days of training. I was back on the airplane, and I was sitting there, and I was looking out the window, and I thought, man, this has just been a wasted time. There was always something going on at the projects, and things were happening. And so you was always dealing with employee issues, client issues, just whatever, safety issues. You was always juggling something. And I'm thinking, I could have been back home, and I would have had a lot, on top of things a lot better than to doing all this. And at that moment, the Lord downloaded this to me and said, this is for marriages. He brought me all the way up to Chicago to sit in there for something for my job, to give me something for relationships. And this was the last of the 4 that I'd written, but yet it's the first one in the teaching. And so I'm going to, Brother Travis, will you help me out? Hand each couple one and one single person one. And then we're going to look at these and we're going to go over these. And I'm going to read you a scripture while he is handing these out. This is in Habakkuk. Habakkuk 2 and 2. How did I get in Haggai? It said, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon the table, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Through it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, and it will not tarry. Now, the reason I said that this could also, if you're not married, also go through this, because this is good tools for yourself. This is something that is scriptural based that you can use in your life to help you carry on and focus. But if you're married, we're going to carry on through here. And so, do we have enough? I should have put this on the screen, and I didn't. But if you got one of these sheets, what I want you to do, that scripture is right here on the top. I want you see where it says his and hers. So if you're a couple, I want you to write down 3 things in your life that you want to achieve, goals that you want to achieve. And they can be short term, they can be long term, it doesn't matter. Write them down. And if you're a her, then under hers, write down 3 goals that you would like to achieve. And there is absolutely no rules in this. No rules in it. So it can be long-term, short-term. It could be whatever that you want. You could write, my favorite is to stop kicking the dog. That's always good to try to stop kicking the dog. For that. But, there is absolutely no rules in how that you do these and put these together. And I'm going to move through these fairly quickly And so hopefully that printer goes quickly and she gets them back out here. Don't let him spoil it. Yes, please. Out there at our visitor station, there is pens. And some of this you're going to be able to work on at your home. And what I want to encourage you also that I would like to set up that if you have questions and want to visit over these later, then we'll set up and we'll make time or we'll visit or whatever at a later time and stuff. But for the sake of time, we're going to move through these. So if you're a guy, you're going to write down 3. If you're a girl, you're going to write down 3 goals. And because Nikki's in class and others are in class, then we will go back and we'll get through these and to it. So very quickly, if somebody knows 3 goals that they're wanting to do and that you're willing to just share them, just for an example, Dennis.
Yeah.
Okay.
So number 1 will be expunge my record.
Okay.
Get that dealt with. Number 2, pay off debt.
Okay.
Number 3, own our own home.
Okay. Awesome. So that right there is 3 very admirable goals. Some of them is longer term, and some of them are a little bit closer, right, to it. So, I mean, that is 3 admirable goals. So, Crystal, you got 3?
I had one, and it was the owning our own home.
It doesn't matter. There's no rules. So, do you want to own a different home than him? I'm telling you, on these 3, as far as if you're single, there's no rules. If you're a couple, there is no rules. You can, it doesn't matter. They're your personal objectives that you would like to achieve in your life. So, has anybody got theirs done? That is a couple. Because that would help me. Because I would figure that Sarah would have hers done. Yeah. She had hers done before I had mine done. And I wrote the program. Huh? So does Curtis and Haley, I don't know where Allie come from. I should have used mine and Janice, because we have done this. About a year ago, we done this. And so I wish I would have brought it with me, because I do have it at the house. But does Nikki and JR, do you have y'all's done?
Well, we have our other one done.
Did you bring it? Then what good is it?
And one of our goals was for me to be able to be a stay-at-home mom. And that's done. And then our second one was for JR's job and for his, to build it,
No, you're missing the point. Because you had 3 and he had 3. So you had 6 total. No, I want to know all of them.
to be a stay-at-home mom, and then my other one was for me in our ministry, and then have a faithful ministry, and then the next one, I think our last one was the same.
Well, I do.
Mine was to
Okay. So Haley, did you and Curtis get yours? No, you got to three. If you pick 3 out. All right, we're going back to Crystal.
I'm a cheater. I'm going to tell you I'm cheating on mine because me and him, with our records, I actually went today and talked to my probation and parole officer and got paperwork and stuff to be able to get my record.
No, that's not cheating. That's not cheating.
It's the same as his.
Okay, let's hear it. What is it?
Expunge my record.
Okay.
Him to quit spending so much money and pay off his debt, and then own our own house. It's our
Yeah.
It is our debt.
Anybody else? Who? Stephen Renee?
She didn't write it down, but she's the fact you're talking about. She wants to run Walmart. She wants to be on time for work, and then she wants to
Within the 9 minutes. And here's the thing, once that we go through this process will be good as long as that you are breathing and married. Or even, if you're not married, for yourself. It will be good tools that you learn how in your life. All right, did you get your 3 now finally? Huh? You need no ambitions in life? I need a couple. Okay, where's Fred?
He's out there, but I'll give you mine.
I know. You got yours done? The 3? Each of you got 3? Okay. What's your 3? Okay. Rhonda, what's your 3? Get out of debt. Learn more about the Bible. And lead people to church. All right, that's good. All right, what you got?
Following one day, get organized.
Get organized. That's a good one.
Get out of debt.
That's a good one.
And dedicate more time with the Word.
All right. That's all right. Woo, let's give them a hand. And as long as I have been doing these classes, I have had everything from going to foreign missions to, losing weight, eating healthier. Literally, there is no rules on this first stage. But, I said, how many goals is good to have in life? 3 to 5. So how many do you have?
I have 3 that I wrote down.
No. How many? You have 6. And so the purpose of this is to learn how to merge together, of how to work together. And so you take these 6 and now you got to come up with just 3. And so you can't change the first step of it. You had no rules. Now you have rules. Now you cannot change what is written on the paper. Now you have to pick 3 out of them 6 without changing anything about them. And you just can't say, I take all of your 3, because that's not compromising. That's just giving in. And so now you have to take 6 goals and bring them down to 3. That means that somebody is going to have to give up ground on 2 areas, and somebody is going to get their only one of the things that they want to focus on. And but as that you compromise and you come to the three things, you would write the three things down right here. The things that you agreed on, like getting out of debt, that would be easy, right? Both of you agree on that, getting out of debt to it. So that would come there. Now you're looking at organizing, leading to Christ, and learning more about the Word. So now you got to decide which of them go here in these areas. Just like with Crystal and Dennis, so now expunging records. That would go here. That's part of cleaning up their past. Getting their past legally fixed in there. I mean, spiritually fixed, it's fixed. Jesus forgive them, it's moving forward. And so God is good. But then there is things that they need to do to clean that up. So they would put expunge record. Then budgeting. So they would put get out of debt right here. And then the next one would be what? What was your next one? Own an own home. And so you would put own your own home right here. So that would how their three would look like down here. Now, remember how I talked about KPIs, tracking your goal? So now you're going to take, right here, like on expunging your record, what would be the first step of expunging the record?
Well, like I said, I went and talked to my probation and parole officer.
Visit parole officer. Find out what your legal steps are that you have to do. It's not going to magically go away without you physically doing something, right? You know, and then, budgeting. Both Jay and Rhonda said that they wanted to have a budget. They wanted to be out of debt. So what would be the first thing that you're going to have to do to get out of debt? Because you can say, I want to be out of debt the rest of your life and be swimming in debt. Pay your bills. So now you would make a budget because you got to know what bills to pay and when they're due. Right? And so you would put it right here, build a budget with a schedule. Get a job. Get a job. That would be your next one. What would be another good one for help paying your bills off or so? Quit spending. Don't spend out of your means. So that would be three things that if you done in your life, if you watched your spending, you paid your bills on time, and you worked, you would get out of debt. It may take long, if you had a plan, it may take you a little bit longer or so, but you have a plan to get out. You can always say that you want to be out of debt, but what do we say in Habakkuk? Until you have a plan, make it plain, and write it down, it ain't going to happen. Marriage is the same way in our life. You can say, we're going to have a good relationship, we're going to have a good marriage, but until you make a plan, you write it down, it ain't going to happen. And that's just like that when me and Jen, I said about a year ago, back in 2019, we sold our house. And very quickly, we sold it, and we was in this other house, and we went into like a 5-month renovation. And it was tough. It was a hard renovation. We stripped this house down to, we stripped it past its bones that was in there. It had splints holding it up because it didn't have bones. And so we stripped it down and we started back up. And then when we got moved in it, we got moved in it, but it wasn't completely finished. And so some of this, Jana, she likes to be organized. Anybody that has known Jana any length of time know that she's organized. She is very well put together and she's very organized. She has a calendar, a schedule for everything. In my life, I tell her, I need to do this or I need to do this. She has it. For a long time, when I very first went back to project managing and I had employees, I wasn't used to doing timesheets and all of these things that need to be done. And I was struggling. I would forget and I would think I need to do that. And I'm like, Jesus helped me to walk in that moment. And she's like, Jesus helped me to prepare for that moment. And so we are like the perfect storm. Hot and cold coming together making a tornado. And so, so anyway, bless her heart, she set it up in her calendar, in her phone, to remind me, have you done timesheets? Now, I have since learned how to calendar things, and I've set up reminders and stuff, but she still has that set up. And she's like, have you done timesheets? Have you done these things? Have you done that? And stuff. But anyway, she's very well organized. She likes everything put together. And me, I'm pretty simple though. I mean, give me some sticks and a cot and I can live in it. I mean, I can make do in things in my life. I'm very simple. I don't need a whole lot of stuff. I don't need big rooms. I do like nice things. I like them to be in order, but for me, I can adapt. I could go and I could live in a camper. I could live in a big house. I could live in a small house. I can adapt to the surroundings. But she likes everything put in order. She likes to be able to see it, plan it, and so we moved into this house and it wasn't finished. Some of the cabinetry wasn't done. The trim wasn't done. We didn't even have doors installed. It had no doors installed in it. They were stacked up in the garage in there. And so closets didn't have no shelving, no bars, no nothing in them. I mean, we moved in and it wasn't finished. And so, but as I was just right before we was moving in it, I was working on some water lines, and I put all new water lines in the house, and I was up in the attic, and I was in a peculiar position, and I was crimping the shark bite fittings, the crimp-on fittings, and I put it over here on my chest, a part of it, and I was pulling that plier, and something popped. And I took a deep breath, and I mean, it was like one of them things, I kind of squirmed out of there and rolled out of there. I mean, I was hurting, and I hurt for weeks. I mean, it just hurt to take a breath. And I did not realize, but at the time, I pulled this rib out of place in my chest, but your rib is connected to the back of you. And it was like a cantilever. When I popped this out, it popped it out and it pinched a nerve underneath my shoulder. And I went for over a year that I could not hardly sleep in my bed. 6 months I never slept in my bed. I could only sleep in one recliner in the house. And it was only that recliner. Thank the good Lord we had that recliner, or I wouldn't have slept at all. And so my neck was messed up in that whole process. But yet, in her heart, I mean, she knew I was hurt, and she had empathy for me. So it wasn't like that she was just like pushing me to do this, but also in her life, things were out of order. Again, a perfect storm. I had everything going on in my life. Then I was injured. I was trying to do things on my own. We were still trying to juggle a lot of stuff. And so emotions ran. And so one night, after a huge just come to Jesus meeting in our relationship, I mean, and we had to come to Jesus because we was miserable with each other. I mean, there was animosity. There was just fussing back and forth because both of us were miserable. I mean, I would get maybe an hour of sleep a night because I was in so much pain and stuff. And so it was just, we were just miserable in it, in the conditions. And I said, let's sit down and let's do this. Let's write up our goals. And so I wrote down 3, she wrote down 3, and we started merging them together. To this day, I have still been working on that list. Now, to this day, we have all the doors installed, and I've got a lot of the trimming done. We've got the doors. Jana has started painting doors. We started working through, and to this day, I look at that list and I see the things that was in her heart that we agreed on that would make her happy and that was on her side as part of her goals. And to this day, I've still been working on them. So it can be short-term goals, long-term goals, and sometimes things need to move faster or others. I mean, at this time when we was done, we still didn't even have a lot of the outside painted. I mean, we still had to work on getting some of that stuff done and caught up and functioning. But the point of it is some of the things was easy to fix right then. Some of the things, it had to have a plan. And without writing the KPIs, the plan out of how to get there, we were just going to let the enemy stay in our lives, using us as battering rams against each other, picking on each other, tearing each other down. So the importance of this thing, and like I said, and if you're not married, this is still good because you can do this first step. You can still pick out things in your life. You still write down KPIs. And then once you get a KPI wrote down, like go to the parole officer, what does going and checking to a parole officer look like? Well, it means that I need to schedule out time in my day if I'm working or if I'm doing this. And so that is where the written plan comes behind the KPI of what you're going to do, what it looks like. And so when you write that down of how that you're going to achieve that KPI, how you're going to measure that in your life, because it's just like, all right, how are you going to get out of debt? You're going to make a schedule for paying your bills. What does making a schedule for paying your bills? Well, one, I'm going to have to get all my bills. I'm going to have to sit down. I'm going to have to look at their due dates and when they're all due. I'm going to have to look at their amounts. And I'm going to have to make a plan based upon when they're due to when I have to pay them. You write that plan down. Does that make sense? I mean, that makes sense in your life. I mean, if you are someone like Kim, she may have some that she's going to finish school. She's finished school. She's going to do her career. She's doing her internship, and she's may got some things down there. But I guarantee you, she has to have a plan on each one of them things down there, or it's not going to happen. You'll just happenstancely go through life. And when you just happenstancely go through life, that's when the enemy loves it. For so long that in our marriage, I mean, and God has worked on both of our lives. And man, you know why I throw out there how many years we've been married? Because it's God's grace and His miracle working in us to take oil and water and get them to blend together and make it this long. I mean, that's the fact of it. And so the whole thing is here is, you know, early on, I can remember that you know, when we went to Branson, the first time we ever went to Branson, the kids were little, and she had a plan. And she had times when we were going to be at certain places, and doing certain things. And me, I'm like, we're on vacation. Let's just show up and see what to do. Let's drive around and see. And if it looks good, let's go do it. No. She wanted to know. You know, she had kids to feed and things and plans and things, and she wanted to work all that in and know. And so we ended up, even on vacation, they become stressful events. Because I didn't want to just be so structured. Because I knew that in life things happened. And if I put down that I was going to eat lunch at noon, and yet we were doing this at 10, and if it went over noon, now we're already off the schedule. So why even schedule? Well, no, not to. But it wasn't that. But my point was that things would collide and we would get off track. And then that would just be more stressful. So I didn't look forward to it. So I didn't want any of them things to be planned out in my life or in a vacation. I just wanted to go. I like to hook up to the camper, pull it out in the woods, set up, and then figure out what to do next. She want to know, well, we need fishing bait, or we need this, and we need that, and we need to go do this, and we need to have this done, and then we're going to eat dinner at this time. And so there was a lot of push and shove in our relationship. And even though that we didn't talk about it, or even though that we didn't know, it was still there. You get that? It was still there. And so, just like this last time, what I said, you can use this as a tool. And so, write down your KPIs for each of your goals, write 3 of them down, and then write out what that KPI looks like. Describe. And so, we would discuss, what does this look like? What does finishing